This is the E-commerce Braintrust, a podcast about building momentum online for established consumer brands. Join our hosts and their expert guests for high-level conversations about e-commerce strategies, trends, and innovations. Access our Braintrust and boost your brand's e-commerce potential.
Hello and welcome to the E-commerce Braintrust podcast. I'm Julie Spear, head of retail marketplace services at Acadia, alongside my co-host Jordan Ripley, director of accounts on the retail team, also here at Acadia. And today we are recording this episode late in the day on December 3rd. So that means everyone is rested, appropriately caffeinated, and coming off the glory of Turkey 12. So joining me for the recap today, we're going to get into the weeds with a huge Cracker Jack roundtable. I'm not sure where Cracker Jack came from.
That was a nice 1920s reference. I like that.
Yeah. That's in honor of one of our guests who likes to use those types of words. Ross Walker's back and joining us, showing us that podcasts are his bailiwick, and Turkey 12 is also.
Yeah. It's all highfalutin from here on out.
I like it.
Rode his penny farthing to the studio.
And digging in on the operations and organic side of things, we've got Gavin and Celina, who are both from our account management team, and joining Ross to chat through all things retail media and the glory of Turkey 12 is Hyunsoo. Welcome to the podcast. Really, really, really excited to dig in with this group here.
Great to be back.
Appreciate the intro. Thank you.
Excellent. Yeah, we've got a couple returning guests, a couple first time. So it'll be a fun time. I guarantee it. To get us started and warmed up, you can't have a tentpole event recap episode without starting with the age-old question, what'd you buy? What are the deals that you tapped into? What is sitting on your porch right now from Amazon?
So it's not necessarily on my porch, but my sister's. And for you F1 fans, the Formula One series, I got a Charles Leclerc Ferrari sweatshirt. So she's a big Ferrari fan, and I think he's one of the top drivers right now. So she got one of those for her birthday.
Is it his face on it? Like when you say Leclerc sweatshirt, like what are we talking about here?
Yeah, it's like Ferrari on the front, his number, and then it's almost like a jersey on the back. So his last name and then his number on the back.
Because he's a cute guy. I feel like a sweatshirt with his face.
He's a cute guy. Okay. I want your color on every purchase, Jordan.
A lot of stuff for my kids on my side. It's all holiday gifting. And one really lame present for me, which is like one of those steamer guns, so I don't have to iron my clothes. I can just shoot them with steam to demand that the wrinkles go away.
That is not lame. That is a responsible purchase. I support that.
Yes.
I like the toys and the steamer. Makes it seem like you have both the carrot and the stick for your kids. Like they're either getting toys or they're getting steamed.
They're getting the steam.
Oh, that's dark.
I feel like I'm kind of in that same boat. I've got Paw Patrol toys for my son and then air purifiers. That's so
Yes.
So for me, my mom is like my best friend and we talk every day, but I'm sick and tired I could never hear her. So I got her a pair of Apple AirPod Pros for under $100.
I love it. Now, was that a holiday gift? Are you going to make sure that she does not listen to this episode? Because I know she's a big fan of the podcast.
She won't be listening to this until after I give her the gift.
Okay, good.
A gift unto it of itself, the podcast.
You can cue up the episode as you hand it to her.
Yeah.
Well, now it's good to hear the variety of categories that were touched during this period, but we'll actually dig into a little bit more of the serious nuts and bolts of dissecting the event. Let's dig in a little bit around like the event length. This past summer, we saw our first ever 4-day Prime Day, which was exciting for everybody. And thankfully, Amazon did not decide to turn last year's inaugural Turkey 12 into Turkey 24 or anything like that. They stuck with Turkey 12, which is great. But does it seem like at this point, we're able to identify shopping patterns over those extended tentpole periods? Or are we seeing any changes from year to year around when customers are showing up to take advantage of deals and to make their purchases?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think we are seeing some minor shifts in consumer behavior from last year to this year. So in the first 8 days of this year's BFCM, we saw 52% of the sales. And then over the BFCM weekend, so 4 days, we saw 48%. And last year was exactly a 50-50 split. So that's showing more consumers are buying upfront and they're realizing, oh, we're really not getting any benefit by waiting until Black Friday or Cyber Monday because the deals aren't getting any sweeter. So they're learning that all of these deals are going to be the same throughout the event. And I do see that in retail. I see that almost everywhere. They're extending that deal window and almost training the consumer for the longer period. I mean, Amazon definitely did part of that last year. And I think a lot of people are following suit.
For sure. I feel like every news outlet that I was watching, a lot of them were saying that shoppers are shopping earlier, starting in October, trying to get their shopping list completely done. On top of that, with Prime Day in October as well, kind of takes away some of that momentum.
Yeah, and just adding on to what Gavin was saying, shoppers are starting earlier this year. So I saw a big spike within the first few days of T12, which means that early Black Friday deals are now essential to capture those early shoppers. So not just participating in T5, but also T12.
Yeah, we saw a lot of the same, but I would say I saw higher than expected sales on day one of T12. Like that was a little bit even more than our models had predicted. So I think that's consumers are well trained enough now that, we can be leaning into day one of T12 in a more serious way next year. And not just for brand loyalists, but for people who know that T12 is beginning. So maybe the first day of T12 is a new holiday and that needs a name, but the volume was significant.
Yeah. I feel like the inevitable question here, Gavin, you had some great data around 52-48 split versus 50-50 split this year. I think that's interesting, but the main question I think on everyone's mind is like, what was the total volume, regardless of the split? Like, is this yet an extension of the year-on-year growth that we've seen? I know Adobe had it at a sort of like across all of retail, not just e-com, as like kind of 7 to 8% year-on-year growth clip. Where do we feel like this Black Friday, Cyber Monday stacks up? On par with prior years, continuing to accelerate? What does the trend line look like?
Yeah, I mean, for our client base in particular, we did see a great trend. So we saw over the BFCM weekend, 1.5x lift in sales comparably. And then over the 12 days, a 1.6x multiple compared to last year's BFCM.
Oh, yeah.
So 50 to 60% increase year over year. And then in terms of the kind of spikiness of the multiple compared to an average day, this BFCM was about 3.1x. And then October Prime was 5x and July Prime was 4.4x. So it's definitely, I think, predictably not as spiky because has that lead in of 8 days prior, which the Prime days don't have. Huge year over year event, and the multiple is still very healthy, but it was just more spread out than Prime days.
When you say a 3.1x lift on Black Friday, Cyber Monday, you're speaking daily, right? So like in aggregate, it's much larger, but on a given average day, it's a 3.1x.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense. So meaningful.
Yeah, very.
Yeah. I had quite a lot of brands that have been very strategic about which events they're participating in. And for what, Black Friday is not an Amazon specific event. There's usually like a lot of other retail deals. And so my brands have, I would say, become really locked into leaning into Prime days and then hanging back on Black Friday, Cyber Monday. So not seeing nearly as much growth for those brands. For the ones that really leaned into the event, they all saw like 10, 20% plus growth year over year, which is ahead of the average and ahead of the the inflation curve. So, the brands that made this a strategic goal did really well. The brands that didn't, they were kind of fine not being up too much year over year.
Yeah. I am curious, one question on that, because yes, this is different from Prime Day in that it's not retailer specific, right? Not an Amazon holiday. Are we operating in a world now where it's basically you do the same promos on every retail channel for the brands that you're working with? Are you still seeing folks where it's like, I'm going to run 30% D2C, I'm going to run 20% Amazon, and you're having channel conflict around this? Like, have we settled on a Black Friday strategy now, or that's still like brand to brand completely up in the air?
Really good question. Celina?
I've seen brands, they essentially do the same promotion across all channels. And then usually you'll receive emails, so like email marketing for the different channel promotions. So sometimes I would receive an Amazon one, sometimes I would receive one that's linking to their D2C. So it seems like that's what they're going with.
Right. Trying to match price, but like promotional weight will vary by channel.
A lot of brands are also doing this strategically based on their business relationships. So in some cases, they're promoting on, say, Ulta and not promoting on Amazon because that's a big benefit to their Ulta relationship. And then Amazon's price matching them anyway. Right? Or Amazon, or they're like promoting on Amazon and not on Target or Walmart, and Target and Walmart are price matching them anyway. So they're actually like getting the benefits from a price perspective. But one thing I will say is if you're not getting the badge, if you don't have a deal badge, you're invisible. So it used to be that a brand could rely on having a low ASP compared to average because they were price matching another retailer and have a really big lift. If you're not on deal, you're basically invisible.
Thank you for teeing up my next question, Ross, because I think that's a good segue into like what felt different, because the badging has always been more impactful, but the weight of the badging, I'm curious if there are other marketing levers, or is this even a good time to talk about any of those like quintessential Amazon glitches that occurred during the event? What felt different this T12 versus previous tentpole events?
We did see a bunch of changes actually on our side, and one of which was the differentiation between best deals and PEPDs finally. So Ross, I know last podcast we actually talked about kind of the game theory of a best deal and the value that it provides. Being $1,000, less brands are willing to participate. But we were really unsure of, does that provide further value than a PEPD if you're getting the exact same badging? This year during BFCM, we did see changes in the badging itself, which was showing up as deal selling fast or changing to Cyber Monday deal. So like there's some A/B testing going on. It's still, the jury's out on visibility. If a best deal really does drive impressions or more traffic, since that one they don't exactly give us the data on. But that was a big one that we saw. And then just the category discount depth got a lot more aggressive in what we saw, from around 20% to 30% year over year. And lastly, with the glitches, we did see a huge PEPD glitch on the first couple of days where they were requiring us to go 1% steeper on the PEPD
glitch,
and just took away the badge. So you had to just keep on going down and down. So it was ridiculous.
Just a lesson. Always be watching. Watch every promo you have.
You say jump and we say how high? How low is discount?
Yeah.
There was definitely some instances where it would ask for the 1%, you inputted 21%, and then it would ask for 51%. And so it's like, what does that mean? You know,
never enough.
It really felt like deal badging had a sense of urgency this year. Going off of what Gavin said about the difference between the best deal and the PED badging, we did see that Cyber Monday deal badging that was on best deals. It switched to a countdown view on Cyber Monday around 7 p.m. So I thought that was a really cool thing that differentiated the two, just to create that sense of urgency.
I know that worked for me as a shopper, I gotta say. So yeah, I'll just break that into Amazon.
After 12 days of deals, it's like, when does this end? You know, like I do appreciate that a lot.
For sure. One thing that I really noticed, you know, if you look back in the past 3 to 5 years, there was just a huge social movement of deal checking. You know, are brands actually giving a substantial deal, or are they just marking up prices, slashing it back down to the original price? And I think Amazon has really taken on that by introducing this price history widget within those PDPs. It was a late October rollout, so it gave shoppers time to really understand it and play around with it. Basically, just gave a 30-day and a 90-day look back of what those prices were, and really giving confidence to those shoppers of, are they getting a valuable deal, or instead of having to rely on some of these third-party tools. So I think that going forward is definitely going to help with our conversion rate and just overall customer engagement. And then the other thing is just sponsored brand ads. They do this, I feel like every year, they just introduce a new sponsored ad placement or a variant of this. And so we had launched quite a few product collection ads with those, static images, but for whatever reason, Amazon decided to roll out and exclude the images from these. So what you're left with is a headline and then 1 to 3 products with, their deal badges and everything. So I thought it was great. It was a great move for them, putting it at top of search and everything like that. But it kind of took away from the value of the static asset as well. Mm-hmm. So it's just something that's ongoing changes that kind of puts some stress on the advertisers themselves, because we don't really know what type of rollout they're going to come out with. And this was, I think, as soon as the event started, we started to see these types of assets.
I saw more sponsored brand video ads top of search than I'd ever seen before. So I felt like they were giving more priority to video ads top of search this past event. Another big change above the fold is the addition of Rufus results right below the sponsored brand ad. This is a big new addition. And we noticed it, I'd say, like the week leading up to the event, like, oh, suddenly here's like Rufus prompts, and now we know what to call them. Now they're Rufus prompts right here in the results. And I think like it's hard to quantify, but I feel like that sucked a good amount of click traffic away from sponsored brand ads and sponsored product ads this year versus previous years. I had quite a few brands had trouble spending throughout the event. I don't know if it was it'll be very hard and impossible to quantify whether it was Rufus results or whether there was just less search traffic overall. That's a big new addition. It really changes what SERP looks like, what the SERP experience is for consumers. And all the reports said that, look, you can't use percentages too much here, but I think Rufus usage was up 800% or something.
Yeah.
So okay, great. From what? I have no idea.
From seven
triple digits seem very high, but it seems significant, and I definitely don't think it's going away.
Yeah. It did sort of feel like the Amazon product team was in full send mode leading into this event. There were just product releases going out during the event. And it also highlights the fact that, Amazon pushed back on Box a few weeks this year. So it was mid-November. You basically had 10 days from all of these product releases being announced, confirmed, and then many of them live in the platform for open release, thinking things like sponsored product video and these, collections that you had discussed earlier. And so just curious, any early takeaways around availability, impact, things where it's we got a sneak peek, but we're really excited to double down. Anything on the ad side from a product release standpoint that we're already seeing dividends around for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and headed into the holidays?
I mean, for prompts, we don't have any visibility into the data. They haven't given us really access. They've given us a tab, but it's blank. So we're still trying to figure out, when that data is going to be available. But it definitely is going to be valuable in informing what shoppers are looking for. What details do they really need? So that way we can bring that into our PDPs, brand store, our ad content, and address it more directly than we would on our website or wherever, the shoppers are looking for that information. I'd say the sponsored product videos are probably going to be the most advantageous for us. It just gives more insight into what the product can do at a visual level instead of having shoppers read a ton of content, and just the variety of just the amount of videos that we can add to each sponsored product placement. I think it's up to 5 or so. And so it's going to be interesting to see how that works out. But from our side, we didn't execute on the sponsored product video because of just glitches, and the rollout was very rapid. It just wasn't, clear as to what the purpose was for it and how to really utilize it well.
We had quite a few running, and none of them really had any impressions. So there's no inventory for it yet, right? It's really not ready for prime time at all. I think I saw max 5 impressions served, and I'm 5 impressions.
That's all you, Ross. It's you, really.
It's come on. But no one's seen it live in the wild yet. I haven't seen a single screenshot of a PDP with it or a search with it. Sponsored product video, agree. It's very, very high on the list. But for us, it's oldie but a goodie. Like we love video, not just for sponsored product ads, but for DSP too. So DSP online video has been like the engine of incremental traffic and sales growth for us this year. And for this event, it was no exception. So like almost bar none, like every single one of our top brands is running online video in the lead up to drive a ton of traffic. And then during the event too, to bring incremental traffic in. And then we're doing a ton of retargeting of all those people that hit the pages and bidding up on those people that viewed those ads with our sponsored product campaigns to close the loop. So that's been a huge plus up. And I think just more video in the future is 100% what we should expect.
Yeah, that makes sense. So TBD on a lot of the unbox stuff, hopefully good things, but we'll see. Celina, Gavin, question for you. You had already touched on this in terms of the percentage increase that we're seeing in terms of like AI-enabled search, both within the platform with Rufus, but also particularly outside of the platform, right? People using the ChatGPT or Perplexity for their search. I know there's all sorts of things with, Amazon blocking or allowing certain elements of that search or not. So I think this is a larger retail phenomenon, but of course it trickles into Amazon and folks using Rufus. So I'm just curious, as you guys looked at the brands that you're managing, did you feel this at all in terms of like kind of the increased of AI presence, both in SERP as well as like people how they were discovering products?
Yes, I definitely did. Going back to Rufus, it's just now a key part of the Amazon discovery game. So when someone asks Rufus for top products in a category, it only pulls the highest ranked listings. So if you're not showing up there, you're invisible to a growing segment of shoppers. So it's basically like another gate you need to pass through, especially during high traffic windows when buyers are leaning on AI to filter through the noise. For me this year, it was a new area to like monitor alongside traditional channels, since shoppers using AI to guide their purchases really rely on it. So I was really excited to see one of my brands appear as a top search within Rufus.
Going off of that, I feel like right now I would love to see Amazon roll out the actual figures on Rufus and be able to tell like this is where you're ranking on it. This is how likely you are to show up for a certain keyword, which I do think they're going to go into that direction. But right now it's like, all right, for our brands that ask, it's really about doing the best we can with SEO in the data we do have, which is one, the customer summary reviews right above all the review feedback. And then also the questions, the most common questions on Rufus, which we usually address in the kind of prioritization of copy and content, which is like main image. You always want to answer the most pertinent question, like size and color. And then title, you just want to answer the most pressing question, maybe cooling pillow for hot sleeper or something like that, and make it more benefit based than anything else. So that's the type of things we're doing with our clients in terms of moving down the priority of content and trying to answer those questions as quickly as possible.
Over under on when we'll start getting the data around Rufus.
So slamming the under on that.
I have to think that it's going to have to come from Amazon, like the overhead of allowing scraping tools to click on each one of those prompts and see which brands show up from like a server side AI processing standpoint is like impossible, right? So they're going to have to be the ones that release it. And I imagine it will like be equivalent to like the search query performance report or something along those lines.
I was going to say, and it having an event like this where there was more adoption of Rufus, again, we don't know what they're measuring it against, where that growth percentage actually is. But like now there's more data. So maybe there's more of the accumulation and more chances that the data sharing will be coming soon. Delusional hope.
Yeah.
I hope.
Well, I don't want to end on delusion. We are not done with Q4. We've gotten through Turkey 12, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, but there's still more Q4 ahead of us. So do you all have any like absolute must-do tips for brands from now until the end of the year?
I would say really until the 23rd is when we'll see that gifting period extend to, especially for the high gifting brands. But really it's making sure you're retaining that bestseller rank from BFCM. So making sure you're being aggressive on ads on your hero products, even light promotions without impacting reference price because it's going to be impacted from BFCM. But overall, just making sure that inventory is healthy, ads are serving correctly, and having a discount on will definitely help. But really, for our clients, it's changing based on profitability goals and what they are comfortable with, because a lot of brands do see December as a kind of profit driver in many ways, where demand is high, but we won't necessarily be applying many discounts. And that's the sentiment we're getting across a lot of our accounts.
I would say also just to remember to keep your content fresh and stay on top of optimization with everything that we just discussed with Rufus. If you haven't already, go through some of those prompts, make sure that you're answering some of those prompts somewhere within your PDP. You don't have to necessarily implement it right away, but at least have that ready to go so that when the new year rolls around, you can implement that.
And I will leave the audience with one final tip is creator connections. Make sure to have those campaigns on and running. And then off Amazon traffic, always a huge, huge boost. And 364 days of the year is going to be when you're building that up. And that's when we see the most success for the tentpole events is really allowing that brand building to do a lot of that heavy lifting and crush it on the unbranded and organic side.
For sure. I'd say to add on to that is I'd say Acadia is different in that we are attentive to the entire year. Some brands get tired, they get fatigued. Some advertisers get tired and fatigued. Towards December, they start to let up on the gas or drag their feet. I think just having your eyeballs on those top value ad placements and making sure that whenever a competitor drops off, this is your opportunity to really shine and capture those high value ad placements. And typically, even after the shipping cutoff date, this is generally when things go really soft. This could be another opportunity to set yourself up for the new year.
Yeah, I have to agree with what Gavin and Hyunsoo said. It's offsite traffic, especially using DSP, is I think your number one bet for improving, your overall funnel. So keep that going top of mind, especially for the next 20-ish days or so. And then honestly, now is the time to really focus on your winners for the year. So like Hyunsoo said, what are the keywords you really need to rank for to win now? Now's the time to invest in those. You've been doing research all year. You know what your winners and losers are. Kill your darlings, kill those low volume. If you have some low volume stuff that hasn't been panning out, if you've been doing some tests that haven't been panning out, just cut it and go for max search volume where you've been seeing success.
I do think an episode taking place over the holidays should end with "Kill Your Darlings."
Yeah. That's the punk rock Christmas album Ross will be recording.
Well, I will say you all lived up to the call out of being a crackerjack group. Mm-hmm. It was a great conversation.
Real whiz bang episode.
It was a whiz bang, golly.
Real humdinger.
Thank you for joining us and talking us through your observations and the excitement of the past 12 days. We'll run through the tape and finish Q4 strong. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks all.